Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum class. I'm your English teacher Zia. I welcome you to English grade 8 video lessons. My dear learners, we are on our unit number 4 and the title is The Wise and the Wicked. This is our unit 4 and we are dealing with an SLO from the competency of writing. It is about using hyphens. This is our lecture 6C and now let's read our students' learning outcome to see what we are supposed to do. So our SLO here is very short and simple. It says use hyphens in words and homophones. So we are going to use a punctuation mark which is hyphen, a small dash like punctuation, and we are going to use them in words and in also homophones, the words that sound alike and they mean different things. So now let's get started by reading by this vertical linkage that we have over here. So in the previous grade we dealt with this SLO right here, and now we are going to deal with an SLO of writing which is about hyphen. So now it's time to storm your brains a little bit. Now let's see what do we have here in today's brainstorming session. So have you ever noticed this sign, this punctuation, these types of dashes in between the words? What do you think about it and why do we use them? So my dear learners, you must have gone through so many different texts. You have read stories and other types of texts. So you must have seen this dash coming in words. So why do you think we use them and what is the purpose as far as you know? Now let's move on to our topic, which is about hyphens and its usage. Now specifically we know that hyphens are used for various purposes, but here we are going to use hyphen for dividing words at the end of line. So hyphens are used to divide words at the end of a line when the word cannot fit on the remainder of the line. So you must have done this before when you're writing something and you are just halfway through your word and the page ends or the line ends. So then you move on to either the next line or to the next page. So this is when you use your hyphen to break down the word by using the hyphen to tell the reader that it is one word, but because of this lack of space, you broke them down in this kind of way. So this is why we can use hyphen for. There are so many other purposes of using hyphen, but we have gone through this one, so it is very much clear that we use it to divide words at the end of the line. Now, there are some rules. So rule number 1 is, if you want to divide a word, you cannot divide like this because this is incorrect. Also, this right here is also not correct. So our word is support. So we will just break it down like this. So we are breaking down the syllables in that way so that it is readable and it makes sense. So the first two ways of dividing it are incorrect because they make no logic, no sense, and they just break down the whole word. So in the third way, which is our correct way, if your line is ending with SUP and you have to add PORT in the next line or on the next page, you will just add hyphen after the first P and then write the remaining word. So divide the words between syllables. So just like that, we divide the words using their syllables. This means, of course, that one syllable words are never divided. So when we have two syllable words, we can divide them and the hyphen will be between the word, but if there is one syllable word, it cannot be divided like this. So this was our rule number 1. Let's move on to rule number 2 about using hyphens. The hyphen goes at the end of the first line. For example, if we are going to use hyphen, we are not going to use it in the next line over here. Rather, we will use it in the very first line. So the hyphen will come in the first line. This is our rule number 2. And then let's look at some more examples over here. So our word is international. So this is the incorrect way of dividing it. Rather, we will use it in this way. Why? Because inter is our prefix. So it cannot be divided like this. And our hyphen will be in our very first line. So that's how we break down the word international, keeping the prefix together and then dividing it after it. And the hyphen will go in the very first line. It is as simple as it looks. Now, next one is our rule number 3, that there should be at least 2 letters plus the hyphen on the first line and 3 letters on the second. It means that you cannot use your hyphen right after one letter. So let's look at this example. This is not the correct way of dividing the word into different parts using hyphen, and this is also not the right way because there are just 2 letters at the second line. We will divide this word supposedly in this way. Our hyphen will be coming in the first line and the remaining part will come in the next line or on the next page. So you need to be careful about this rule. Next one we have is a very important rule, that you do not divide proper nouns or proper adjectives. For example, we have a proper noun Lahore. So this is not the correct way of dividing it. Rather, we will just move on to the next line if we do not have enough space. So it will not be divided because the rule says that proper nouns and proper adjectives will not be divided like this. So instead, we will either move on to the next line or on the next page. Now, let's move on to rule number 5, which says divide the hyphenated word using the hyphen already in the word. For example, if you have a word mother-in-law that contains 2 hyphens, and if you are lacking space, you will not divide it like this. You have to keep the hyphen intact as it is already in there, and you can divide the word mother-in-law containing 2 hyphens in this way. So if you already have a hyphen in your word, you will keep that word intact with the hyphen and then move on to the next line or onto the next page to write the remaining part of the word. And now let's talk about rule number 6. Do not divide a word at the end of a line if the parts of the word will be on 2 separated pages. For example, the prefix, the part of the word that comes first, re means again. So it can create homophones. How? Or near homophones, which can be confusing. Hyphens can be used to avoid confusion with another word. For example, the word recover means to put a new cover over something. Now recover is divided by hyphen, and it changes the meaning. But the word recover means to get well again. So if you're not careful about these rules, your meaning will be lost. So if you already have a word that is coming like this, you would treat it like that to avoid homophone situation. Now, let's talk about your classroom activity after learning about all these 6 rules of using hyphens for breaking down words due to lack of space on the line or on the page. So, for your classroom activity, you will write different categories of hyphenated words. Now, We know that hyphens are not only used for breaking down the words due to lack of space, but they're also used in compound nouns and so many other things. So you will understand what your project is about, the main idea, characters, and important scenes. Divide into parts, split your story into different parts or scenes. Each scene shows a different part of the story. So you can follow the rest of the instructions by yourself and do this classroom activity. Now, we have our simulation link over here. You can watch the video to learn more about hyphenated words and how hyphens are used. Let's talk about the homework, in where you have to write 10 different hyphenated words. So you can either break down the words just as we talked about, or you can use different hyphenated words, words that contain one hyphen or more than one. Like, for example, the word father-in-law, it has 2 hyphens. So you can come up with different words containing hyphens. Now, this is your worksheet attached, and finally, all these resources are available in the description of the video. You can access them easily and learn more about our topic, which is about using hyphens. My dear learners, thank you for listening and being so patient. I hope that we have achieved our students' learning outcome. We looked at the hyphen, its usage in dividing the words. We've gone through some rules. They are worth remembering, and followed by some classroom activities and also homework. See you in the next video lesson. Allah Hafiz.